They're revamping a symbol of Brazil's soccer pride, the Maracana Stadium. Construction was meant to be finished by now, but in the run-up to next year's World Cup, the city of Rio de Janeiro is facing plenty of other challenges. Here at the stadium, though, people are looking ahead. Some 8,000 construction workers are involved in the final phase of renovations. Elton Chindrio is one of them. He's been working at the site in the heart of Rio for a year now. We asked him how it feels to work on the Maracana Stadium. He says it's a great honor to be able to work on this project. The Maracana has experienced so much history. This stadium has shaped the lives of so many players and fans.
Que marcou a história de muita gente e muitos jogadores.
Being part of this historic job may be an honor, but that doesn't mean the pay is high. Elton earns 1,200 reals a month, or about 450 euros. The big question is, will he be able to afford a ticket for a World Cup game? He thinks so. He says that as a Brazilian, he has to believe it. The whole country should support the team. Soccer, he says, is part of the culture. While Elton gets back to work, we head south. A steep climb up from the famous Copacabana beach is the Chapéu Mangueira, a favela. A poor Brazilian neighborhood known for its high crime rate. Crime has been a big concern in the run-up to the World Cup, specifically about Rio's ability to provide security for spectators as the games draw near. This is a new police station. Priscilla Azevedo, the commander, greets us. She says it's important to have a bigger police presence in the favelas. Until a few years ago, authorities didn't dare set foot in this area. Then, heavily armed security forces pushed out criminal gangs. What's known as a pacification operation. This favela was a meeting place for drug and weapons dealers, she says. That affected the lives of the residents and destroyed the peace here in the neighborhood. Today, Acevedo's colleagues on the force are present on the streets. Drug gangs have disappeared and the area is safe, according to Tiago Marias, a policeman. We follow him and fellow officer Fernando Coelho on their patrol. Before, the police rarely came here, Tiago says, and things in Chapéu Mangueira were very difficult for the authorities. The criminals and the gangs here put up a great deal of resistance. Not long ago, police were afraid to enter the favelas. These days, they've developed a rapport with residents. That's the result of hard work on the part of Tiago Marias and others like him. 1,200 people live in the Chapéu Mangueira favela. For 100 years, there were no police patrols here. Now, for the first time, residents can take their worries and problems to officers like Fernando Coelho. Tiago Marias tells us that most people here also have access to electricity and running water. Something else has changed here. Tourists have started visiting. They want to see how people live here. A hostel opened recently, taking advantage of the view of the Copacabana. Nowadays, you can move around freely here, says Tiago. Even tourists can, because the police are on patrol 24 hours a day. He's sure that the peace will hold for the World Cup. But Chapéu Mangueira is a model favela right next to a world-famous beach. We traveled north next, taking a cable car over a poor neighborhood called Complexo Almao. Police have also made their presence felt here. But unlike Chapéu Mangueira, they haven't yet driven out the criminal elements. Poverty is endemic. Here in Guadalupe, Brazilian soccer is looking for its future stars. A social welfare project called Bola Pra Frente is a soccer school founded by ex-national team star Jorginho. The school principal, Raquel Bratle, shows off kids who have what it takes. She says the soccer school has been around since the year 2000. Jorginho came up with the idea. He grew up in this housing project. The school educates children and young people ranging from 6 to 17 years. All come from the neighborhood. The school tries to channel the children's love of soccer into a learning experience. 8-year-old Octavio is studying spelling. I asked him what his favorite subject was. He said soccer. I asked him what else he's learned here. He said he'd also learned reading and writing. Octavio's class heads out to the pitch with their coach. The class is a mix of boys and girls. They play together easily. Coaches encourage the youngest players to have some fun. Tactics are secondary. Everyone gets behind the ball. Octavio is quick and has a keen eye for the goal, and he's got international tastes. His soccer idol isn't even Brazilian, but Portuguese, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Fame on the soccer field is one way to escape the poverty of the Guadalupe neighborhood and lead a better life. But the coach warns them daily that there is far more to success than simply honing your football skills. Anderson de Sousa says the mission here is to change the kids' lives. He uses the ball as a way to get kids excited about education. From what we can tell, teaching through soccer seems to be working. We make our way back to the Maracana stadium. The construction workers have shed their work clothes and put on soccer jerseys. Today they have free tickets to the first match being played in the renovated arena. We were supposed to meet Elton, but he's a no-show. Not everyone's here for the game, however. Chris Gaffney is a geographer and lecturer at the university in Rio. He's here with about 150 members of a group that demands that Maracana be open to everyone.
What are you demonstrating against? We're demonstrating against the privatization of the Maracana, which is taking a public good and transferring it to private hands. This is one of the most historic places in Brazil that's been reformed without public consultation, that's been ripped from the hands of the people that made it famous, and is being handed over to private interests.
The Maracana has been renovated 3 times in recent years at a cost of 580 million euros of public revenue. Now it's being sold for a relative pittance, and the stadium is expanding its territory. Anaja and 30 other Indians lived in a house near the stadium. They intended to open up a museum honoring their culture, but the police drove them out. Anaja says the police evicted him and other residents violently and without respect. The Brazilian government and the city of Rio continue to treat Indians very badly, he says, and this is the 21st century.
Continua fazendo com os índios em pleno século 21.
Only a few demonstrators made it into the arena. Chris Gaffney was one of them. But few spectators noticed the protest. They're preoccupied with the first game to be played in the stadium. It occupies a mythical place in the national imagination. The atmosphere is already frenzied with the World Cup still a year away. On this occasion, fans aren't rooting for the current national team, but rather the stars of the past, including Bebeto, a member of the 1994 World Champions squad. He's just been fouled, earning his side a penalty kick. Bebeto thinks preparations are coming along fine. The World Cup will be a unique thing for Brazil. They'll play at home in front of their own fans, and if God wills it, he says, they'll win. Ronaldo's also here. He's put on a few pounds since his glory days, but still has a champion's attitude. He played on 3 World Cup teams. Brazilians call him the phenomenon. He's full of praise for the latest version of Maracana. The party is the big thing now, he says. The turf is very good here, the stands look great, and everything's nearly ready, so good luck, Maracana. Fans still love him for leading Brazil to its last World Cup title in 2002. The current team has its problems, to be sure, but fans are eagerly awaiting the competition. This man says, of course he'll be there for the World Cup. As a worker, he's part of the history of the stadium. But this man says it will be hard to get in. Tickets will be very expensive. And this man says that now Rio has got a beautiful new stadium for the championship, it'll be a great place for the team to win the cup. There were further glitches after the opening match. A second test game a few days later was cancelled. But World Cup fever has Rio in its grip. Everyone wants to be part of the fairy tale set to take place next year.